In a fit of anger, she decided to confront Amaka, determined to twist the knife deeper. But as she reached for the potion, she noticed something unexpected. The cauldron's glow reflected in her own eyes, hinting at a deep connection to the ancient woman that Chizuba couldn't comprehend. A final twist awaited. When Chizuba confronted Amaka, the truth shattered her intentions. Amaka was not the enemy. Instead, her heart was tethered to Chizuba's past, revealing a lineage intertwined with the dark arts that had ensnared both women. The weight of her choices crushed Chizuba, as she realized the darkness she sought to unleash was already a part of her own blood. Would she embrace her heritage, or fight against the fate she unknowingly crafted? The choice loomed large, and with it, the potential for redemption or ruin. Would she embrace her heritage, or fight against the fate she unknowingly crafted? The choice loomed large, and with it, the potential for redemption or ruin. As dawn broke over the village, Amaka felt an unsettling heaviness in her chest. Dismissing it as stress from her responsibilities, she continued her daily routines. Each moment was laced with a nagging discomfort that intensified her unease. In the evenings, she sought solace in Uche's visits, his warm laughter and genuine kindness offering fleeting relief from her growing anxiety. But whispers began to swirl through the village, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Chinaelo, her old friend turned rival, seized the moment, spreading malicious rumors that Amaka was hiding a dark secret. "She's been acting strange," Chinaelo cooed to eager listeners. "What if she's deceiving us all?" Each lie wrapped around Amaka like a tightening noose, Chinaeloing her discomfort. One evening, as Amaka prepared dinner, a sudden wave of nausea swept over her, forcing her to clutch the countertop for support. Panic ignited in her chest. Was she truly ill, or was it something more? Uche, noticing her distress, reached out. "You look pale, Amaka. Is everything all right?" His concern brought forth a rush of emotion, and she longed to confide in him, to reveal the whispers that haunted her. However, as she opened her mouth to speak, Chinaelo's voice echoed in her mind, casting doubt. What if Uche believed the rumors too? Just as she steeled herself to confide, a sharp knock echoed through the door. It was a village elder, bearing news that sent Amaka's heart plummeting. There's talk of a gathering. The villagers suspect betrayal. Amaka's words spun. Who could she trust? With each accusation, the tension thickened, pulling her deeper into a web of deception. Her instinct screamed that something was wrong, but the more she tried to fight against it, the more isolated she felt. Amidst her turmoil, a glimmer of revelation pierced through the chaos. The discomfort she had brushed off could be a sign of something profound. Could it be the charm's effects? What did it mean for her future? As fear gripped her heart, Amaka realized she was not just fighting for her reputation, but for her very identity. In that moment of clarity, she vowed to confront Chinaelo, to unearth the truth behind the lies, but the stakes had risen dangerously high. With the village on edge, every step she took would ripple through the lives of those around her, threatening to unravel everything she held dear. Would she uncover the truth before it consumed her? Or would the darkness suffocate her spirit entirely? As the days turned into a palpable tension, Uche's demeanor shifted, his warmth slowly replaced by an unsettling distance. Amaka could feel the chill in his gaze, a once sparkling connection now dimmed by the heavy fog of doubt. Each encounter felt strained, like a fragile thread ready to snap. She desperately sought answers, but Uche's silence was deafening. Chinaelo, lurking in the shadows, seized this moment of vulnerability. Her voice dripped with forced sympathy as she approached Uche. "I worry for you, Uche. Amaka's behavior has been odd, hasn't it? I heard whispers of strange rituals, of dark influences." Each word was a dagger, aimed at Uche's heart, twisting with precision. Amaka caught wind of the conversation and felt her stomach drop. The rumors spiraled out of control, infecting Uche's mind like a poison. Desperation clawed at her, and she decided to confront him directly, heart racing with fear and longing. When she finally stood before him, words stumbled out in a frantic rush. "Uche, please. You have to believe me, I am not what they say. But Uche's eyes, once filled with warmth, now held uncertainty. Amaka, there are so many whispers. It's hard to know what to think. His tone was a mixture of hurt and confusion, striking her like a physical blow. In that moment, Amaka's resolve crumbled. She felt utterly alone, abandoned to the cruel winds of fate. Chinaelo's manipulations had woven a dark tapestry, ensnaring not just Uche, but her very soul. As she turned to leave, she overheard Chinaelo whispering to another villager, "It's only a matter of time before the truth surfaces. Amaka won't survive the fallout." A chilling realization washed over her. The lies surrounding her were not just idle gossip, they were a calculated attempt to ruin her. The stakes were higher than she imagined, and her world was slipping through her fingers. Just as despair threatened to consume her, a flicker of hope ignited. What if she could gather proof to counter Chinaelo's web of lies? But with Uche doubting her, who would stand by her side? Amaka felt a determination rising within, a fire fueled by betrayal. In a moment of clarity, she decided to confront Chinaelo, but the potential for confrontation carried its own dangers. Would it lead to her redemption, or plunge her further into despair? With every heartbeat, Amaka knew she had to act fast, before the coldness in Uche's gaze became an eternal winter. Uche stood before Amaka, his expression cold and unyielding, the weight of Chinaelo's deceit pressing heavily on his heart. "I can't believe you, Amaka. The rumors, they can't all be lies." Each word felt like a dagger, twisting deeper into Amaka's soul. She searched his eyes for the warmth she once knew, but found only shadows. "Uche, please," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "You know me. I would never." But he cut her off, disbelief hardening his features. "Then why does everyone say you're hiding something? You've changed." His accusations felt like thunderclaps, echoing around them. Amaka's heart shattered with every blow. She felt the ground shift beneath her, her spirit dimming in the face of his mistrust. Chinaelo, lurking nearby, reveled in the chaos she had sown, a satisfied smile tugging at her lips. As Amaka turned away, defeated, a revelation struck her. What if Chinaelo had twisted more than just her reputation? Desperation surged, and she resolved to confront her sister. But just as she stepped forward, Uche's voice halted her. "Don't walk away, Amaka. You owe me an explanation." The conflict deepened as Amaka wrestled with the choice, defend herself against Uche or face Chinaelo and expose the truth behind the lies. With each passing moment, Chinaelo's influence loomed larger, her laughter echoing in Amaka's mind. Finally, Amaka looked back at Uche, her heart heavy but resolute. "I'll prove my innocence. I won't let her win." As she turned to face Chinaelo, a sudden thought struck her. What if Uche was not the only one being deceived? Fueled by anger and heartbreak, she stormed toward Chinaelo, ready to uncover the depths of her sister's treachery. In that moment, the stakes grew higher. This wasn't just about Amaka's reputation anymore, it was about reclaiming her identity. The confrontation promised to unravel secrets that could shatter everything they once held dear. Would Amaka uncover the truth before it consumed them all? As the moon hung high in the night sky, a sinister transformation began to take hold of Amaka. Lying in bed, she felt a strange warmth spreading through her body, followed by a sharp tightening in her abdomen. Panic washed over her as she glanced down to see her stomach swell unnaturally. The realization hit her like a thunderbolt. Something was terribly wrong. Meanwhile, Chizuba stood in the shadows, watching with glee as her twisted plan unfolded. She reveled in the thought of Amaka's downfall, each swell of her stepdaughter's belly confirming her malevolent intentions. "Finally, the world will see you for what you are," she whispered to herself, oblivious to the darkness brewing in her own heart. But as Amaka's breathing quickened and fear gripped her, a chilling sense of foreboding enveloped Chizuba. She felt an eerie connection to Amaka's suffering, a whisper of her own conscience warning her of the chaos she was unleashing. What began as a vengeful act was morphing into something far more dangerous. As Amaka lay in turmoil, she fought to understand what was happening. Was this some form of punishment? Was her body betraying her? Her mind raced with the weight of Chinaelo's lies and Uche's doubts, all of which seemed to converge in this moment of terror. The air in the room thickened, crackling with a strange energy. In her desperation, Amaka reached out for strength, envisioning the supportive faces of her loved ones. But with every breath, she sensed Chizuba's malevolence creeping closer, like a shadow ready to engulf her. What if this charm was more than a mere illusion? What if it carried with it a curse that would forever bind their fates? Suddenly, Amaka's resolve crystallized. She would fight against this darkness, not just for herself but for the truth that lay buried beneath the lies. Yet, little did she know, Chizuba was also spiraling deeper into a web of her own making, unaware of the consequences her actions would bring. As tension swirled in the air, a new question emerged: could the very charm intended to destroy Amaka also unravel the fragile bonds of their family? With chaos looming, both women stood at a precipice, unaware that the next moments would change their lives irrevocably. As Amaka's condition deteriorated, Chukwuemeka's heart raced with dread. Her fevered brow and swollen belly painted a picture of desperation. He knew he couldn't wait any longer. The village healer was their only hope. Racing through the dense forest, he felt the weight of impending doom pressing down on him, each step echoing with a sense of urgency. When he reached the healer's hut, a dim light flickered through the cracks, casting long shadows that danced like specters. The healer, an elderly woman with eyes that seemed to pierce through the veil of reality, welcomed him with a knowing look. "You seek answers," she stated, her voice steady yet heavy with foreboding. Chukwuemeka nodded, desperation spilling from him. "Amaka is suffering. I don't know what's happening to her." The healer took a deep breath, her intuition sensing the unnatural forces at play. "This is not mere illness, but a darkness woven into your family's fabric. You must uncover the truth, or it will consume you all." Chukwuemeka's heart sank. He felt the weight of her words pressing down, an unshakable dread forming in the pit of his stomach. "What do you mean? Who is behind this?" "Evil often wears a familiar face," she replied cryptically, glancing towards the woods. "You must look to those closest to you. Sometimes, betrayal hides in plain sight." Chukwuemeka's mind raced. Could Chizuba, with her increasingly strange behavior, be involved? The thought made him shudder. He recalled Amaka's earlier warnings about the growing rift within their family. The healer reached for a pouch filled with herbs, her hand steadied despite the tension in the air. "I can ease her suffering, but the root of this malice must be confronted." A confrontation is inevitable. As Chukwuemeka left the healer's hut, a cold wind swept through the trees, mirroring the turmoil in his heart. He realized that seeking the truth might unveil horrors he wasn't prepared to face. Determined yet fearful, Chukwuemeka made his way back to Amaka, resolved to protect her at all costs. But the question loomed large: would he uncover the darkness in time, or would it tear his family apart forever? With each step, he could feel the weight of impending revelations, a storm brewing on the horizon. In a moment of desperation, Amaka stormed toward Chinaelo, her heart pounding with a mixture of fury and heartbreak. "Why are you doing this? Why are you spreading lies about me?" Her voice trembled, charged with emotion. The air crackled between them, thick with unresolved tension. Chinaelo's eyes flashed with defiance. "You think I'm the problem? Look at you, Amaka. You've always had everything: Uche's love, our mother's favor. I'm just exposing the truth." Each accusation struck Amaka like a blow, igniting years of pent-up resentment that had simmered beneath their seemingly placid surface. "You've always been jealous of me," Amaka shouted, desperation fueling her words. "Instead of supporting me, you twist everything into lies. I'm your sister." Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, blurring her vision as she fought to hold onto her composure. Chinaelo laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the charged silence. "Sister? Is that what you call it? You think I'm envious of your pathetic life? You're a fraud, hiding behind a mask of virtue." Amaka felt her heart fracture further with each word. Their argument erupted into a fierce battle of words, exposing childhood rivalries, buried grievances, and dreams turned sour. "You never understood my struggles. You only see what you want?" Amaka countered, her voice rising above the tumult. As they hurled insults, the room filled with a cacophony of pain and anger, unraveling the fragile threads of their bond. Each revelation cut deeper, and for a moment, they were no longer sisters but adversaries locked in a bitter fight. Amid the chaos, Amaka felt an unexpected pang of sympathy for Chinaelo. Beneath her venom lay insecurity and fear. "You're hurting me because you're hurting too," she said, her voice softer, almost pleading. But Chinaelo's face twisted in rage. "Don't you dare pity me. You're the one who needs saving." Just then, the tension in the air shifted, and an eerie stillness fell between them, a quiet before a storm. In that charged moment, a new twist emerged, a realization that this battle could fracture their family irrevocably. Amaka's resolve strengthened. "We can't let this darkness win, Chinaelo. We are sisters. We need to stand together." But Chinaelo's expression hardened. "Together? You're delusional." As the fight escalated, Amaka knew the stakes had never been higher. Would this confrontation tear them apart for good, or could it pave the way for healing amidst the wreckage? In the silence that followed, both sisters stood at a crossroads, each grappling with the shadows of their past, while the darkness loomed ever closer, ready to consume them both. The healer arrived at the scene, her presence commanding immediate attention. "I sense a storm brewing within this family," she intoned, her eyes scanning the charged atmosphere between the sisters. "You must let me uncover the truth before it consumes you all." Amaka and Chinaelo, still reeling from their confrontation, exchanged wary glances as the healer stepped closer. "Chizuba has cast a dark shadow over your lives," she said, her voice steady but heavy with urgency. "The charm she used on you, Amaka, is not merely an illusion. It feeds on your fears and insecurities, AMPL Chinaelo, in the darkness that already lurks in your hearts." Amaka's breath itched as the healer's words sank in. But why would she do this? What does she gain? "Chinaelo, your heart is tainted by envy," the healer continued, turning her attention to Amaka's sister. "You cannot escape this truth. Your resentment has been twisted into a weapon, one that could harm not just Amaka, but you as well." Chinaelo bristled, but the healer's gaze pierced her defenses. "Without purification, the bond you share could shatter, leading to dire consequences for both of you. The darkness is a living entity, thriving on your conflict." As the healer's revelations unfolded, Amaka felt a rush of understanding and fear. "Is there a way to break this curse? To free us from Chizuba's manipulation?" The healer nodded solemnly. "But it requires facing your deepest fears and reconciling the pain between you. Only then can you sever the ties of envy and despair." Tension hung thick in the air, and Amaka turned to Chinaelo, her heart racing. "Can we do this together? Can we find a way to heal?" Chinaelo hesitated, her anger warring with uncertainty. "You think we can just forget the years of resentment? It's not that simple." "But it's our only chance," Amaka pleaded, desperation creeping into her voice. "If we don't unite, we risk losing everything, our family, our futures." The healer nodded gravely, emphasizing the urgency of the moment. "You must decide now. Embrace the truth, or let the darkness consume you." As the weight of their choices loomed over them, the sisters faced a pivotal moment. Could they rise above their past, or would the envy and anger tear them apart forever? Each heartbeat echoed with the gravity of their decision, and time seemed to stretch as they prepared to confront the demons within. Chinaelo sat alone in her dimly lit room, the shadows closing in around her like a suffocating blanket. The weight of her jealousy felt like a physical presence, pressing down on her chest. She replayed her recent confrontation with Amaka in her mind, each sharp word cutting deeper than the last. The thrill of unleashing her resentment had faded, replaced by an agonizing sense of regret. Every whispered rumor she had spread now felt like a chain binding her to a darkness she could no longer ignore. The thought of losing Uche gnawed at her insides, driving her further into this abyss. "What if he chooses her?" she whispered into the emptiness, her heart racing with fear. The idea of Amaka carrying Uche's child haunted her, an image that felt like a knife twisting in her gut. Yet, as Chinaelo reflected on her actions, the chasm between her and Amaka deepened, the guilt festering like an untreated wound. She recalled their childhood laughter, the sisterly bond that had once felt unbreakable. Now, that bond seemed like a distant memory, tainted by envy and betrayal. The healer's words echoed in her mind, a reminder that without purification, both sisters could suffer dire consequences. Chinaelo felt trapped in a web of her own making. Could she truly reconcile with Amaka? The thought seemed impossible, yet a flicker of longing for that connection ignited within her. As she wrestled with her emotions, a chilling realization struck: the darkness she had embraced was now threatening to consume her. What had started as a desire to protect her love had twisted into a monster that could destroy them all. Would she have the strength to confront her fears and reach out to Amaka, or would her pride keep her shackled in isolation? With each passing moment, Chinaelo felt time slipping away, the urgency of the healer's warning pressing upon her like a storm. The question loomed large: could she find the courage to bridge the gap, or would she let her jealousy dictate her fate? The weight of her choices hung heavily in the air, demanding resolution as she stood at a precipice of transformation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village, Amaka felt the weight of isolation bearing down on her. Whispers curled around her like tendrils of smoke, filling the air with accusations that tainted her very existence. Uche's visits, once a source of comfort, had dwindled to nothing, leaving her to navigate this treacherous landscape alone. With each passing day, the villagers' eyes turned cold, their murmurs punctuated by pity and disdain. "She's hiding something," they said. "Just look at her." Amaka's heart sank as she caught snatches of their conversations, each word striking like a blow. The injustice of it all suffocated her, yet despair clouded her mind, leaving her paralyzed. Determined to fight back, Amaka knew she had to reclaim her narrative, but where could she begin? Anger coursed through her veins, a fire threatening to consume her from within. She remembered the healer's warning about facing her fears and reconciling with Chinaelo. Could she truly reach out to her sister after everything that had happened?